How's it going, everybody?
Hey, how are you, my friend?
We are back in the world today. Kent and I are here. We're going back to the old school. We've done the conversations about teams that were fantastic. They were interesting. They were insightful. But we're going back. We're going to be going over the changes that went into effect last month with the contract. Now, there's not a lot of them, but there's definitely stuff that you need to understand and know. And then Kent's going to have some fantastic stuff about mentoring and different things that you can do to make this not just a job, but a business and a way to create true income. So without further ado, we're going to go through. I'm going to go ahead and go through the contract changes that just went into effect. Again, guys, very small changes, but just know what's there, what's available, know what you're understanding. So I'm going to switch over now to my contract.
Yeah.
Can you see this, Kent?
It has not popped. There it is. Yes.
All right. So what we're going to be doing, as we all know, we went through it just line by line, page by page in the beginning. This is the changes that just went into effect. Now, they have to start being used as of November 8th, but just so you know. No changes on page 1, which is good because we already had quite a few with the changes. No changes on page 2. The main changes is, and this is going to have to do with PIDs, and we're going to talk about that while we're having this conversation. And that's paragraph, I want to say 6, make sure I'm not crazy. Yes, paragraph 6, section 7. Public improvement districts. If a property sent to is in a public improvement district, the new verbiage is seller must give buyer written notice as required by subsection 5.014 of the property code. An addendum containing the requirement notice shall be attached to this contract. That is the new verbiage. The other verbiage had required seller to notify buyer as follows. It was just a notification that you were in a PUD, what you had to do. They have gone back and changed this contract to read, you now have to include the addendum to do as part of this contract. So both buyer's agent and seller's agent have to be aware if this property is in a public improvement district. Now, public improvement district is something where a government entity has done some kind of repair, upgrade to an area and have taxed just the people in that area for it. So they're going to have a special tax that they're going to have that's going to have a certain amount of length until the tax goes away. Mm-hmm. What will happen is you'll have the opportunity to either pay off your tax at the day of closing or make sure you understand how that works. And we're going to go through that addendum that was just created as well to make sure you understand that. So paragraph 7, what used to just be a notification of, hey, you've got to, you're required to notify the buyer as follows. It is now you have to include an addendum. So that's a huge change in this contract and then a new addendum that was created. So we're going to go through that now here in a moment. Other thing, paragraph 7H, residential service contracts. Residential warranty insurance companies used to be licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission. They are no longer licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission, so that has been removed from this portion. So before, if you had issues or complaints, you could call TREC. Now, it is not the insurance board. I don't remember exactly who it was who's doing it now, but it is not TREC. And I know it's not the Board of Insurance. So, but just so you know, that is the only change that has been there on that. Now, the only other change we've got is we have added the addendum containing notice of obligation to pay improvement district assessment. This addendum, as required by this contract, has to be included if it is in a PID. So make sure if you are in a public improvement district, you have included this amendment as a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. Those are the only changes that went into effect. So it's kind of nice, kind of interesting.
One of the things I would ask of you is to kind of explain to them some of these acronyms like the PID, because I would tell you that I have a bunch of real estate agents around here that may not really understand what that means.
No, absolutely. And I went over it already, the public improvement district, PID, MUD, municipal utility district. There's those ones that we use.
Right.
What a PID is, as I said before, is a government entity. Let's say you are in an area that needs a road to get to a better area. In El Paso, we have this area on Sean Haggerty Street, dead ends, and to get to the other side, which is half a mile, takes about 20 minutes because you've got to go all the way around this whole area. Well, people want them to build this road, but it's over some area that's going to be difficult to build. An opportunity could be a PID. Now, in theory, the previous city reps told us that it was been approved and it's going to be done, but of course we haven't seen anything work on it yet, so I don't know where we are on it. But that could be something that we would charge the people, that they would charge the people who would be in a certain area around that improvement would have to pay a public improvement district tax. Now that would be an additional tax just for the people who are in that area. So that's what a PID is. Does that kind of explain what you meant there, Ken?
Yeah. Because my question is, I've got a first time home buyer. I've got somebody out there, and we're talking about coming in, and I don't think they really click with the fact that their mortgage and their insurance and their taxes and I'll roll into what it costs them every month to live in their home.
Right.
And then you throw a PID on top of it, and they're like, okay, well, what the heck is that? Yeah.
Now, the nice thing is, what the taxes are already, and so they should be kind of advertised. But it is a frustration when you find out, hey, if you buy this house, you're going to pay more taxes than the other houses in the area, and that's something you definitely need to understand as a buyer's agent when you're showing it.
Right. And I just think it makes us look as professionals. It puts us in the manner where we're going, okay, we're the professional. Here's the things you need to understand, and it makes you look better when you're talking to your client, which in return is going to get you a referral because your people understand that you're smarter than maybe the average buyer.
Now, and not only that, this is the new requirement of this addendum. So they created this addendum, which is actually a great addendum,
right,
if you're smart enough to figure out how to fill it out.
Exactly.
And the reason I say that is it requires a lot of homework by the listing agent, and realistically by the buyer's agent should know this information as well.
Right.
This addendum is containing a notice of obligation to pay improvement district assessment to, and you would insert either whatever municipality or county is levying the assessment. City of El Paso Water District, County of El Paso, County of Sutton, whatever it is, that's what you're going to put in that information.
Yeah, what's interesting to me too is that when I look at where you are and where I am, we have such a different structure there because where you are, you have pretty specific things. El Paso has a specific place where you get your electricity.
Right.
You get a pretty specific place where you get your water, right? But then you come to here, and I've got 5 water districts. I've got 5 electrical districts. I've got all these different districts that this really comes into play hard in the county I'm in right now.
Well, and we've got it as well. We've got different things, and this is something that a lot of people just don't pay attention to or are aware of. We have over 40 taxing entities in El Paso.
Wow.
You got the ones that you're always going to have: the county, you've got the school board, or the community college, you've got the hospital. So those are going to be across the board wherever you're at. Then you've got 9 different school districts with 9 different school district tax amounts. You've got 5 different cities that have different taxing amounts. Right. If you're on the far east side or the west side, depending on where you live, you may have different. We have 2 different emergency service districts where if you call 911, the city of El Paso is not going to send their fire department out there. You have to use the local fire departments or the volunteer fire departments, and they charge a 10-cent tax on their properties as well. You've got different MUDs. You've got 8 different water districts that we have here in El Paso. So even though we act like we're one giant piece and people don't understand we're not, that's where you are. Right. And I use that, and I use an example because it's kind of terrifying. I live in the northeast of El Paso, right in the middle of the city, and I pay less in taxes than someone who purchases a property in Canutillo, which is not incorporated. So they have no city benefits, but they pay a higher tax rate than I do, with benefits of a fire department, benefits of a library, benefits of all those city benefits, parks that you have that are available to you. And because you can't tell you've driven outside of the city limits, you can't tell you've driven outside of those districts, right. And where you are, you may or may not know if you have those rights or not. And that was a huge issue when I was in public office, where people would come in and say, Well, how come I don't get to use the city library? It's because you don't pay city taxes. I mean, it's pretty simple philosophy.
Yeah, what's interesting to me too is that most real estate agents haven't gone out and educated themselves to understand this. You know, everybody just thinks it's the same everywhere, right?
Right.
And it's just not, right? And when you get into more rural community, I know you're not really rural, but where I am, I go into more of a rural community when I start looking at Ellis County and where we do business. We've got all these little small towns, and each one of them have these little rules in place that have come to play because of something down the road that the state has put together. It says you can tax on this, you can't tax on that. And they've taken advantage, but nobody knows that.
Right.
And so at some point in time, somebody's got to be the person that educates people on how this works, right?
Right. I mean, think about it. I mean, even different stores. Right. I mean, if you buy groceries in Horizon City, you pay a different tax rate than you do if you buy them in El Paso City.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the frustration thing that people don't understand that, don't realize that. Right. I mean, every school board has a different tax rate. Every school district has a different tax rate. Every city has a different tax rate. The county is going to be the same county-wide, but you've got a lot of different opportunities in there that can help or hurt you. So understanding who you're paying and why is extremely important, and that's where this education comes in.
Well, I think that's part of the buying process too. I mean, if I'm going to buy, and so I'm looking to say, okay, because I think you and I both understand this is at the end of the day, it's not how much house can I get because I have X amount of dollars to spend a month. I have whatever, $2,000 a month. Let's just throw a number, right?
Right.
So what can I get for that 2,000, and where's that 2,000 going? And all of these little things that we're talking about with these MUDs and these PUDs and PIDs and all of that dips in and takes a little piece of that, right?
So, say PMI or MIP or all of the other things that can come into play.
Yeah.
Private mortgage insurance, the advantage of private mortgage insurance is after you hit 78%, you can ask for it to be removed.
Right.
If you get an FHA loan with MIP, mortgage insurance premium, it will never go away. So you'll be paying that additional fee for the life of the loan.
I saw something the other day, and it was talking about, I can, because of the interest rate right now, I can help you buy a house, a $350,000 house right now. I can get you more of it than I can maybe because the rate is 2 to 3% somewhere in that margin, right?
Right.
Versus when I bought my first house at 16%, it's a whole big different deal, right?
Well, it's a different quality of home you're being able to purchase.
Yeah,
your buying power changes dramatically.
Yeah, absolutely. So all these little things come into play when you're looking at it, and they're all little pieces that are gonna nip into that. What can I afford to spend every month?
And the question that the PID form asks and makes you answer, which is one reason I like it, is you have two options. You can either pay it off in one fall swoop, or pay it over time. Now, if you pay it over time, they have the right to raise the costs. So it's definitely in your advantage to say, hey, we're going to do this. Now, the question then will become, all right, well, if we're going to pay it now in advance, who's paying for it? Is the seller going to pay for it? Is the buyer going to pay for it?
Right.
These are the questions that can come up. So just going through these blanks to make sure we understand them. Anytime it says to insert municipality or county, it's the person that you're having to pay the taxes to, who is assessing these taxes. Now, in one section, it says undertaking the benefit of the property within blank. This is the name of the actual public improvement district. It'll have its own district name that you will put in there, created under, and you enter what chapter or subchapter of the local government code or ordinance that allowed for this tax to go into play. Now, as it says, an assessment has been levied against your property for the authorized improvements, which may be paid in full at any time. If the assessment is not paid in full, it will be due and payable in annual installments that will vary from year to year, depending on the amount of interest paid, collection costs, administrative costs, and delinquency costs. Now, I can tell you this for a fact. The government is not going to become more efficient over time. So the longer you take to pay these taxes, the more you're going to pay. That I can promise you. The exact amount of assessment may be obtained from and which municipality or county or city that is going to be the one doing it. The exact amount of each annual installment we approved each year by, again, the same, is going to be a city council or county commissioner, court, or whoever's doing it. If the annual service plan update for the district, more information about the assessments, including the amount and due dates, may be obtained from, and you insert the county or the city or whoever's doing it. Failure to pay assessment or any annual installment may result in penalties and interest being added to what you owe, lien, and foreclosure of the property. So they're making sure I think they're doing a better job now with this updated contract of making sure you understand what it is you are actually filling out and how and why. Yeah, and I think that is important. I think it's a great opportunity for that conversation where I think a lot of times buyers were being put in a situation where they're buying a house and had no understanding. Wait, I'm now stuck paying this for the next 10 years. Why?
Yeah. Well, Andrew, I would say this too, is that I don't think real estate agents understood it. They're selling houses to people and put them in these positions where they have to do this, and they had no clue that this existed. I mean, that's the cool thing about this document that we've now put in place, is it forces real estate agents to go into a position of understanding what it is. What am I doing? What am I asking this person to do? You and I ask people to let us take care of the most valuable asset they've ever had, which is their home. Okay, which is in most cases, right? And then we do that, and we come in, and then something like a mud or a pit or something that pops up, and as an agent, we don't know what that means.
Yeah,
that's scary to me.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the things that could happen from that. If you come in and I buy a house and I think I'm paying $2,000 a month to live in this house, and the next thing I know, I got another $500 that I got to throw out there at it to cover some cost of some tax that nobody really knew about. I mean, that's
something that is no value to you because it already exists. You don't care
right.
about a road being made because the road's already there. As far as you're concerned, it's a road.
Right. Exactly. So I love this document. I think it's a smart document. I think it's something that as agents, we have to stay on top of. I do believe that, I always, one of the things I always think about is where does my value come from? Why does somebody want to pay me the percentage that they pay me to help them purchase a home or sell a home? Right. So, there's a commission set in place there. We decide what that commission is and move forward with it. And right. All right. So why do you do that? You do that because I bring value to the table of things that you didn't know about.
Right.
And this is one of those things. This is a huge value add that if you understand this and you're in, some, and even in big cities, you're going to run into this as much there as you are anywhere else.
They exist. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we have to know that. We have to be able to present that to people in a manner that makes sense from the professional that we're supposed to be.
No, absolutely. And the sad thing is there's a lot of agents out there who are not taking the time to learn it. There's a lot of brokers out there not taking the time to teach it. And that's what scares me. But I won't blame all the brokers because I can have the greatest class in the world, but if you don't come to it, you're not going to learn anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you and I know that. I mean, we've been doing this for years, right? Is that, agents only are as good as what they're willing to put forth. They're either going to come and learn or they're not.
Right. We were together in Dallas just last week.
Yeah.
And talking to an agent who said that, we put on a class and she's like, hey, it was a free class. I'm going to go to it. It's awesome. Why would anyone not take advantage of a free class?
Exactly.
And the scary thought is there's, three kind of agents out there. There's the ones that say, I'm going to take every class I possibly can. There's the ones that say, I am required to take 18 hours. I'm going to take 18 hours. Right. And then there's the ones that say, oh, crap, it's that time. I've got 12 hours until my license expires.
Yeah. How can I do it and still get paid tomorrow?
Yeah. And it's, and the sad thing is it's kind of like the age old story. What do you call the guy who graduated last place in medical school? Doctor.
Right. Doctor.
The same is true. We're all licensed and some of them some of us are definitely more valuable to their clients than others. And it sucks, but it's true. All right, Kent, talk to me. What are we doing today?
So, all right. So today, let's go down the road. One of the things that I really, really wanted to, think about and kind of help you guys with is kind of where we've been today is coaching. All right. Yeah. And I think coaching is kind of one of those real estate words that everybody gets a little nervous about. Like, okay, do I go find, a big time coach out there and pay them a bunch of money to teach me how to do this? Or do I just find somebody that's willing to help me? And I would say in most cases, I don't care where you are, most of your brokerages have either a broker or a manager that's willing to spend some time with you and help you on a weekly basis. Okay. Because you got to remember, they get paid based upon what you do, right? I mean, that's as simple as that, right? So they're willing to do it. So now you have to make the decision as an agent whether or not you're going to take advantage of that, right? And probably the scariest thing I started a brand new agent this week. Sweetheart, love her to death. She's going to do well. But one of the things she kept saying to me, she says, "So you keep saying you're in business for yourself." She's thinking, "Well, I went to work for you." And no, you didn't. You just came in here, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to help you do this, and I'm going to help you go down the road. But you own your own business, and that's
you are a private business under the umbrella of your brokerage.
Exactly. And so with that being said, I got to thinking about that. I thought, man, one, where does that leave me as the person that's helping her move on? What is my responsibility to help this agent get to where they need to be? And two, where's that agent need to get to be to move to the next level? Right. And so I started really thinking hard about coaching and what coaching really means to an agent. And one of the things that really popped into my head was first off, it's an accountability situation, right? It's 100% about that agent being accountable for what it is they say they want to do. All right. Now, as a coach, I sat back and thought, okay, as a coach, what is my responsibility to the agent? And the thing I came up with was, and I've known this for years, and I've done it for years. I just don't know that I've ever vocalized it like we are today. Is that if Andrew came to me and said, "I want you to coach me," my first and foremost question to him is, "How much money do you want to make? What is it that you want?" Because I've had agents that have made, hundreds of thousands of dollars in AGCs in a year. And I've had other agents that have made, tens of thousands of dollars in AGC in a year. And both of them were completely happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've got some that are just like, hey, if we can earn enough money to take a couple cruises a year, we're in. That's what we want. And I'm okay with that. Right. I don't care. It's your decision what you want to do. Or I've had other agents come in and say, "No, I'm building a fortune out of this thing. That's what I want to do." And I'm okay with that, whichever one you want to do. But so the first question to me as a coach was that I should come in and say, "Hey, where do you want to be? What are you looking for? What are you looking to do?" All right. And then the next thing that we have to do is we have to make sure once we know what it is that you want to do, then we have to get onto a schedule where we talk about it on a regular basis. Okay. You can't let this thing go on, 2 or 3 months and not have a conversation. It's got to be something that's scheduled, and it's got to be something that's scheduled at minimal bi-weekly. We have to have a time bi-weekly where you and I and it can be 10 to 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be some big, long, drawn out thing. I can come in and say, "Hey, Andrew, you told me this is what you wanted." We sat down and said, "Here's the activities that you need to do to get there. How are you doing towards going towards those activities?" Right. And that's a coaching session. Right. And that makes the most sense, and that helps you get to where you want to be. So really, I think what I would say out there to you, and what I was really thinking about today, was that as an agent, you have a couple of choices, and choice number one is that you can go in there and you can go to your broker or your manager in your office and say, "I really would like somebody to help me go down this road." If you can't find that person there, that's okay. Not everybody, some small boutique places don't have time to do that. there's people out there in the world that you can go to, the Brian Buffini's of the world, and Tom Ferry's and those guys. There's people out there to help you get to that point, right? But at some point in time, when you make the decision to go from an agent to a business, and that's what I think this is really about, is saying I would like my business to go out and be successful. You got to have some help with it. Nobody expects you to do this on your own. And that's why you joined a brokerage in the first place. That's why this thing works, the system that we do. So go out and find somebody that's willing to spend some time with you on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to say, hey, Andrew, I'm going to help you get where you want to get to.
But I want to add something to that. If you're asking someone to take the time to be your mentor, you better back up what you say you're going to do. And that's the thing. If they're going to sit there and take away from their business to work to make you better, don't cancel on them. I forgot to make the calls. They're taking the time to help you. You need to take the time to help yourself.
Right. Yeah. And I would say this is that as a coach, and I've coached a lot of agents over the years, and normally I give everybody 3 shots. It's strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. At strike 3, if you haven't, by the 3rd time, you haven't done anything we've talked about, by the 3rd time, you no longer get any of my time. And I don't mean that to be mean. It's not. It's just, guys, we have to take this seriously, because this is how we feed our families. This is how we do what we do in life and get to the next level. And if you want to be one of those people, we'd love to have you. Coaching is something that I dearly love to do, and I love to see the successes that come from it. I was watching a video we shot today with the mayor of Midlothian, right? And one of the things that popped up was a conversation about an agent that moved here 3 or 4 years ago that she didn't know anybody, not a single person, right? But she got into our coaching process, and she followed the systems, and she did the things that we talked about. And within 3 years, she became, one of the top agents in our county. So how did she do that? Well, she did it because she listened. She did the activities that were needed to be done, and she went out there and made a business for herself, right? It really wasn't anything about the coaching process other than the fact that she stuck to it, and she listened, and she talked, and she came in and have conversation with somebody that would help her go to the next level. And that's what I really want you guys to learn today, is that, go find somebody. There's somebody within your organization that's going to help you. If it's not me or Andrew or Brian or whoever you guys are talking to out there, there's somebody out there that's going to help you. Right? We want to help you. We want to get you to the next level. So I want you to really think seriously. If you don't have what you consider a coach, that's somebody that's helping you on a monthly basis get you to the next level, it's time for you to make that decision and find somebody to do that. So that's my 2 cents for today.
And it's valuable, and I think it's extremely important, but you need to understand what you're asking for, and you need to understand. And I think so many agents don't understand that they still haven't figured out it's their business,
right?
A broker's there to help, to train, to give advice, but at the end of the day, your success is based on you.
Yeah,
I can give you all the leads in the world. If you don't call them back, if you don't set the appointment, if you don't take the time to be a professional at the appointment, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
It's fun to sit there and say, well, my broker's not doing anything for me. So, well, what are you doing for yourself? Yeah. And that's what makes sales such a rewarding job and such a terrifying job. And that's why so many people leave the business every year, is you have to be self-motivated. I say this every time I teach at the Real Estate Academy. The greatest thing about real estate is no one tells you what to do. The worst thing about real estate is nobody tells you what to do. There's nothing that says, there's no requirement that Ken and I had to come on here and spend 30 minutes of our time doing a video today. There's no requirement for me to get up and go to work. There's no requirement for me to drive across town and talk to someone about purchasing a home. But if I don't do those things, I'm not going to become better. I flew to Dallas to teach a class, and the greatest, and people ask me all the time, it's like, why do you teach so much? It's because I learn every time I teach, because I am not going to walk into that classroom and not know every answer.
Right.
So I'm going to spend that much more time preparing, prepping, and understanding that document. And when I do that, when I explain that document to a client, I know it that much better, and I'm that much more prepared to answer their questions and assist them in their situations. And I want people to know I enjoy it. And I'll tell you, the class we had in Dallas was one of my favorite classes I've had in a long time. Why? Because there were educated, intelligent people who asked great questions and brought in great insight. And if you can have that in a class as an instructor, it's a great day. You leave there more energized, more excited, and it's a fun experience to have true valuable discussions. Not me sitting there reading something to you for 3 hours. That's miserable. But having true value in discussions in a class of professionals who know this business, that's what it's all about. And that's just fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Take the time and learn it. And if you ask someone to be a mentor, and I agree with it, you need to have someone give you accountability. But if you ask someone to do it, if you ask someone to take away from their business to help yours, you better help yours.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think learning that piece of it and learning to be accountable for time, is huge. I think that's probably it happened. And I watch this all the time. It's really crazy to me. Is once somebody gets a real estate license and goes to work in the real estate business, their entire family doesn't think they have a job anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hey, can you run over at 2:00 and do this for me? It's like, no, I'm working. Yeah. And so we have to learn as agents how to make sure that we help not only ourselves, but we help the people around us understand that that's what we do for a living. Right. Yeah. And so, there's so many aspects of this that the coach will really, really, really help you guys with. So I hope you guys will at least reach out there and at least try to go down that road, and see what it's like for you. I'm not saying go find Brian Buffini and have him and pay him hundreds of dollars to do that. You don't need to do that. At some point in time, you might, but today you just need to start with somebody. Go to your manager, go to your broker, go to somebody in there that's going to hold you accountable and help get you to that next piece. If you're selling 5 houses a year right now and you want to sell 10, there's somebody that can help you do that. And they're willing to, and most of them that's the coolest thing I've ever seen about an industry is real estate agents are so into helping each other.
Agreed.
And so just find somebody that's going to help you, man. And then grab their coattails and run with it. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a kid in early 20s, I was sitting in an economics class in a college room. I won't tell you where. And the gentleman up there was telling us how to make, and this is a long time ago. This is in like the early 80s. Okay, so this is a big deal. How do you make $100,000 a year, right? And he's going through this process, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if he knows how to make $100,000 a year, why is he in here teaching for $24,000 a year and not making $100,000 a year? And so what that clicked to me at that point in time was that, okay, if that's what I want, I need to go find somebody that does that every day and let them teach me how to do it. And that's what I did. And it completely changed my world, because I went and found a guy, great guy, business, nobody, he dug ditches for a living. All right. Hey, there's an air quote. I got that from Haley.
He doesn't.
So he did, but that's what he did for a living. But he was smart enough to know that the business was there, and this guy's making he's making ungodly amounts of money out there, and they were digging ditches for a living. And you remember when you were in high school, your teacher said, you don't pay attention to me, you're gonna have to go dig ditches for a living. And I'm like, well, okay. That guy's digging ditches. He's making $100,000 a year, so I think I'm gonna go talk to him.
Yeah.
And so it's that mindset. You got to have that mindset. You got to go out there and find it. You got to look for it. Nobody's going to just give it to you. You have to be the one that's willing to put yourself in a position to go out there and say, okay, if these guys can do it, so can I. If they can do it, let me go figure out what they're doing. And I think, last week our conversation for the 3 days was, if those guys can do this, so can we. And I think that's where all of our agents, everybody that's listening to us today, guys, we want to help you. We want you to be a part of what we're doing. We want you to move forward. We want you to have the lifestyle that you want to have. But if you don't ask us, we don't know to help you.
Absolutely. Well, and I think what you said is absolutely true. You need to understand and know and have some true self thought of what do you want? Because if you want to make $500,000 a year, you can. But are you willing to put in the effort and the time and the energy to actually do that? Or do you want to make blank dollars a year and have time to do other things? Or do you want to make blank amount of money and be able to do? You need to have that conversation, because if your coach is telling you if you say I want to make $300,000 a year, and then you get mad at your coach for always telling you to be doing more, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right. Exactly.
So what Kent said is absolutely true. You've got to make sure you both understand what is the true goal. Because if the true goal is I want to be comfortable, what does that level mean to you, and how do you achieve it? Yeah. But if you say I want to make $1 million, then you're not, and if you're not prepared for the sacrifices that it takes to make $1 million,
right?
You be truthful with what you actually want.
Yeah. I've got they're dear friends of ours, the Doug and Judy. I've been working with for years, and they both have second careers, and real estate is their second career. So they both have pensions from things they've done in the past, which I know most of us don't really get to do that anymore, but they did, right? And their deal is, hey, Ken, if we sell 10 houses a year, we can travel and do anything, and they do. And they travel, they go to some of the coolest places in the entire world. I mean, Iceland and Alaska, and just places that when I think of travel, I want to go lay on a beach and have somebody bring me a drink, right? When they think of travel, they think of like all these cool places that I never even imagined. But they can do it because that piece of the money is in place because of real estate to let them get there. And that's what a lot of people just need to understand that's we get it. Not everybody's looking to be the top agent, and that's not the goal for a lot of you guys, but you're not going to get there without direction and having the time to look at somebody and say, Andrew, Kent, Brian, Nick, whoever out there, help me understand what I need to do to get to that level. And we're all willing to do that for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my soapbox for today. I hope you guys, get an opportunity to take advantage of some of that. I'm here for anybody. I know Andrew is also, if you guys ever need anybody to help you, even just get you pointed in the right direction, just give us a call. We're easy to get a hold of. You can find me at kentbush.com, or just go to kentbush.com and schedule a 15-minute meeting. It's a no-brainer. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. I'd love to have a conversation with anybody that would like to see where they need to go down the road and find somebody to help them coach.
Absolutely. That, guys, appreciate it. We'll see you next week.